The two K3s are still side by side, and if you notice, they're really on the desktop as opposed to being elevated, and that way when I'm sitting there my feet are flat on the floor. My
Whiskey 6 Lima calling CQ, hello CQ. CQ calling CQ, hello CQ. Whiskey 6 Lima Golf. Whiskey 6 Lima Golf.
Just about finished reconfiguring my station. I've moved a lot of things around. For example, the 3 rotator controls are now in front of me instead of to the side. I've got the watt meter still in front of me. I think it's crucial that you have some kind of device that gives you an indication of output. So if something goes wrong, you've got a warning. Now those 2 watt meters have built-in alarm systems, so if the SWR climbs above a point I've preset, they can do a couple of things. They can alarm, or they can shut off an amplifier or turn off a transceiver. The 2 watt meters below those 2 digital ones are old Drake watt meters. Each one is in the line to a Yagi, so when I'm feeding the 2 Yagis at the same time, I can see that they're both getting the same amount of power. So and since they're analog, it's a lot easier. The switches are for selecting delay lines to one of the 2 Yagis, so I can switch in lengths of coax. For example, in that position, 9 feet of coax is added to just one of the Yagis. That's a homemade antenna tuner, kind of blocked by the microphone, but one knob is the upper Yagi, and the knob on the right is the lower Yagi. So those 2 knobs react with those 2 watt meters. I can adjust the impedance of both the Yagis, so the combination of the 2, I can kind of get it close to 50 ohms. I think it's more like 70 most of the time. Behind the microphone is my favorite antenna tuner that I don't want to give up. It's the MN2000, and so I've kept it all these years. That monitor is on most of the time. That's doing the cluster, the DX cluster. Those 2 boxes are relatively new to me. They're the devices for the new microphone. They provide the voltage and the preamp. The voltage, by the way, is just for the preamp. That's the monster antenna tuner from Viking that matches not quite as wide a range as the MN2000, but it does a lot, and it's rated at 1500 watts of RTTY. The 2 K3s are still side by side, and if you notice, they're really on the desktop as opposed to being elevated, and that way when I'm sitting there my feet are flat on the floor. My left hand is really at the AF and RF gains. Right hand is on the VFO knob. I'm basically a DXer, so I want that VFO to be close to the tabletop so I'm not reaching for it. If it were up on that shelf, like up there, you wouldn't be tuning the band. I wouldn't be tuning the band all the time because my hand would get tired. So by having it down there, really at rest, my hand is on the VFO and I'm tuning the band. To the right of that is the Elecraft P3, which is their pan adapter. A time when 20 meters is dead, there's just no signals. That's the KPA 500, which is a 500 watt amplifier. On top of it is the KAT 500, which is a 500 watt antenna tuner. That's an old Drake speaker. That screen is connected to an SDR receiver that's connected to the IF of the second K3. So it gives me a picture of the band, and that is really handy. That computer screen does my logging. That happens to be log 40M, and I like that logging program. It works great, and there's a gray line on it. There are 2 Drake amplifiers, one of them highly modified. Actually both are pretty much modified, and they are the ones I use most frequently. They're built they're really built to last. The power supplies for both of those, one of them, both power supplies are actually homebrew now, and they happen to be underneath the desk. That's my station, and like I said, I moved some things around to accommodate the new boom arm because it attaches to the back of the shelf. I've tried to make it ergonomically a little better for me. I'm not too happy having the monitors as high as they are, but that's at this point the best I can do. If I had my choice, the two amplifiers would also be in front of me so I could monitor the grid current. So there's no perfect station, but it's been a fun project to do it. I learned a lot, had to get some extra things I hadn't planned on, but as a result, I've actually made some friends in a couple of places. With respect to the boom arm, if you look at the picture with the white background on the right side of the screen, each of the distances from the elbow in rough numbers is 20 to 24 inches depending on how you measure it. But it's plenty to get, for me, to get over the boxes, that the Drake boxes and the Rotator controllers. So I'm real happy with the way this is all worked out, and I think it'll serve me well doing voiceovers also. Anyway, it's I've made a number of tests into Europe and Africa and gotten very good results with respect to the audio. I hope you've enjoyed this video. This has been 2 parts. This is part 2. There may be another one coming up pretty soon covering some of the same territory, but a little bit of a twist, and we'll see how that goes. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please subscribe.